What's up, print fam? 7:30 on a Friday. I'm gonna record, kind of do my little edit and upload this today. So this is real time. So if you have questions, leave them down in the comments. It's been just about a year since I posted the video that I was thinking about closing the print shop. I was super depressed. I was super broke. I was super, just all sorts of emotions. And now here I am, just over a year later. I moved. I've purchased a bunch of new equipment, and things are awesome. I'm slammed. I'm busy. I'm here 7:30. Got here at like 9. So I'm busy. So let me get this job cutting, and let me explain to you what I think happened. Well, the shop is noisy. The office is echoey. So hopefully it works out in the video. But basically what I think helped the most was changing my attitude. So part of the biggest reason for my stress was the lack of funds, not being able to pay for equipment, not being able to pay for my mortgage, not being able to pay for all of the things. So as soon as I changed my attitude and realized the business was what it was going to be, and I need to figure out a way to make it work, then things started to move a lot better. So attitude was number one. Number two, I landed a few more customers that provided a higher percentage of my sales. So instead of these little customers that are maybe doing $100, $200, maybe $1,000, they're doing $5,000, $10,000, $15,000 orders. And I was able to get a few more customers that were doing that. So it's absolutely true, the 80-20 rule, where 20% of the customers provide 80% of your revenue. That is 100% accurate with me. I have my top 5-6 customers that provide the majority of the income for my business. So really, I think the biggest things that changed for me were the attitude and the type of customers I was going after. As soon as I was able to kind of get through those hurdles and that stress, then it helped me go after even more of those bigger customers that did do bigger orders. So as an example today, I think I'll end today with about 10,000 in sales, which to me, that is freaking awesome. Some of you might think, holy crap, in both directions, whether that's so little or that is a lot. So just keep that in mind, that every shop is a different size. Every shop has a different way of doing things. Speaking of which, I met with another shop today. Let me tell you about it. Figured it'd be better to deal with the noise rather than the echo. So I met with another shop today. They are 2 or 3 cities away from me, and I wanted to talk to them about doing stuff on my flatbed for them, whether that's yard sign, boxes, just anything that I could do on the flatbed. They have a Konica, like I do. They have a roll printer, so they've got, I think it's a Roland. They've got 2 embroidery machines, and then a 6-station, 6-color, or a 4-station, 6-color manual screen printing press. So we're going to see if we can do some work together. So they already ordered some yard signs from me, and I just barely talked to them today. But the thing that was most surprising to me is I do more revenue than they do, but I am a one-man shop, and they have 5 or 7 people that work there. The reason I found that interesting is because I'm a one-man shop, and they have a bunch of employees. The reason for that is I've spent way more money on my equipment than they have. So my equipment is way more automated, and it does most of the work for me, or more work for me, versus they have bought cheap equipment. Their Konica doesn't have the finisher on it. It's literally just the printer. They have a manual guillotine. They don't have an external cutter. They just use the cutter built into the Roland. So everything that they do is very manual driven, which makes them have to have more employees. So that's one thing to recognize or realize, that the more you spend on money, or the more money you spend on equipment, the less manpower you need in most cases. I learned that, and that's part of the reason why I bought the more expensive equipment from my brother, who owns a wood shop. At first, he bought a $20,000 CNC, and then he bought an $80,000 CNC, and then he bought like a $150,000 CNC. Now when he buys a CNC machine, it's $500,000. But it takes like this much labor to produce stuff, versus his first CNC was very much like my flatbed. Every tool, if you want to change tools, you got to change it out manually. His new flatbed, or his new CNCs, it's got like 21 tools or bits or whatever they are that they use in his CNCs that it can change on the fly automatically. It automatically loads sheets. It's automatically offloading sheets. So that's one thing to keep in mind. And how I'm choosing to run my business is more automation, less manpower. That being said, I will probably hire someone by or at the end of the year or beginning of the year. So, but again, kind of to wrap the video up, I think it was the attitude and finding bigger customers that turned my business around the most. Thank you for watching. If you have any comments, leave them down in the comments. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next one. Prefan. I'm in the car, but I remembered another thing. Part of what I did in like finding new customers and changing the customers I went after, I stopped doing like the orders that took a lot of time that didn't make a lot of money. So that was part of the reason why I gave away my white toner printer. I loved the white toner printer. It was great, and it did a lot of what I wanted it to do. But the problem is because I had it, I would sell jobs for it. And I used to do a lot of heat transfer vinyl. But again, it's those small jobs where it's like I'm screen printing most of the order, but then they want 5 t-shirts for toddlers or something. So I started to say no to a lot more jobs. And instead of spending that time doing those jobs that didn't make a lot of money, I would spend the time marketing or finding customers, finding customers that will buy and spend more. Or I would go spend time with my customers that I know spend money. Like the other day, I went and spent time with my number one customer because I knew that they needed help with completing or finalizing the decision on the order for Christmas. They do it every year. They buy jackets or hoodies or something for their employees. But it was just a matter of me going there and spending the time with them. So I spent 2 hours, and then I walked around and asked every employee that was there what their size was and what they wanted, because the employees at this point expect it, and it helped the employer. It helped my customer by me spending the time going around to all of their employees to get those sizes for them. And there were a few that weren't there, so they finished up the list the next day. But by spending that time, so spending that 2 hours, not necessarily being super productive, I sold a $4,000 apparel order, versus I could have spent that same amount of time doing like 3 t-shirts, which would have made maybe $100. So that was one thing that I decided to do, that in most cases I would rather do nothing and try to go after those big customers rather than spending time doing those little jobs. So I hope that makes sense. And again, this is just the way that I'm choosing to run my business. You may run your business in the other way, and that works for you. I'm just trying to share, just trying to guide people or help them understand different ways of doing business. So I hope it helps. It's kind of it helps me to be able to talk about it to you. So again, if you have any comments, any suggestions, any concerns, leave those down in the comments. And hopefully I'll spend a little bit more time and be able to have Cam edit some videos. But I am working on a laser video. I started recording it, but I'm too busy to get the laser set up. So not necessarily the best timing to get it going. I need to like align the mirrors and clean the lenses, and I got some leather patch work that I could do, and I'd like to do some one-off tumblers to sell. So that's another thing. Like, I would rather do these one-off tumblers not for monetary gain, but to be able to take them as samples to my customers, so that then hopefully they'll buy 100 of them. And then I'm not going to do 100, maybe if I get an employee, but right now I'm not going to do 100. I'm going to farm it out to someone else. They can do it, but use that as a tool to get those bigger customers. Just like I used a customer, I'm not printing it myself, but I'm doing 6,000 posters for someone. I'd be dumb to print it myself. It's cheaper to have someone else do it. But because I had the ability to make one so they could see it, visualize it, I was able to get the sale for 6,000. Hope that helps. Hope you have a great day. Have a good weekend.